Investors would love to see an end to the trade war between the U.S. and China, but experts say it's likely you're going to have to wait. Stocks fell sharply today as tensions between the world's two largest economies escalated just days before critical high-level talks begin and higher tariff rates are scheduled to take effect. Here are the closing numbers. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 313 points to 26,164. The Nasdaq was down 132, and the S&P 500 slid 45. We begin tonight at the New York Stock Exchange and Bob Pisani.
It was another tough day of trading. Stocks selling off as optimism falters around a U.S.-China trade deal. But we ended right near the session lows. So once again, the markets find themselves beholden to these trade talk headlines, and tensions are escalating as the week drags on. Stocks started the day lower on news that the U.S. would be adding more Chinese companies to its export blacklist. Then it fell further on word that the Trump administration was considering ways to limit U.S. investments in China, like cutting down on investments made by U.S. pension funds. Predictably, that put a lot of pressure on the usual cyclical names, banks and materials and retailers, and it's taken a toll on chip makers like Qualcomm and Broadcom and Intel. They all get between 30 to 60% of their revenues from China. So around 3 p.m. Eastern time, the markets took a sharp return south on news that the U.S. Department of State would be imposing visa restrictions on some Chinese officials linked to the detention of Muslims in China. Supposedly. The market is increasingly coming to believe a trade deal, even an 80% deal, most of the way, might be unlikely this year, and that means that lower growth may carry over into 2020. Finally, Brexit fears could also be adding to the nervousness. Some are concerned the British exit from the European Union will likely not end with a deal. Top officials said a Brexit deal is essentially impossible following a phone call between British Prime Minister Boris Johnson and German Chancellor Angela Merkel. The two sides are slated to reach a consensus by October 31st, and so far sources are saying any extension of that deadline is very unlikely. For a Nightly Business Report, I'm Bob Pisani at the New York Stock Exchange.